So to get into client sites, we just need to go to our onePractice portal to start with. That's the easiest place to get into. Click into client sites and we can get into our client sites area. Then to create a new site, we just click on site contents and we create a new subsite. And we're going to go through those processes. So I'm just going to call this one test at this stage. And we put in the details about that and we call the client name. Now be very careful with the length of your client names and your URLs, because you've only got a certain 256 characters that you can do with that. So always try and keep those as short as you possibly can. The next important thing just to is that we need to, the user permissions, we need to create user unique permissions. Now, when we set this up as a template, this is going to automatically create those user permissions for you. So I'm going to go through that process. So use unique permissions. These settings here display on the side. All it means is that's going to show them down the side. So if you've got lots of client sites, it means that you'll be able to pick up and see those client sites down the left-hand side. So we want to click on that one, and we don't want to have it on the top link bar on our parent site. So we don't want to have that flowing through from there and confusing us. And then we've got the navigation inheritance. We also want to leave that by default no. So that's all we need to do, and that's now going to create my site that I wanted to do. Now that's starting it from scratch, and it's going to go right through the process and set my little site up for me. So, and it says it shouldn't take long. It shouldn't take long. Okay, so now I've got my visitors. So in this case, I could create a new group, being my test visitors or the client site visitors. So I could set up a particular client that I want to use that I can access in there. So in this case, I might just add Ben at even though he's a test member, but we can click that. Then I can say members of the site are going to be the unique. So I can say I want that to be team site members, and the owners of the site, I can use my group. So you always use groups that are in there. So if you've got large numbers of people that you want to have, you could set up a particular group to be a part of that site. So in this case, we're setting up team site owners and team site members. So using groups for your permissions enables you to control those groups. So in this case, I've set Ben up as a specific user on that particular site, and he's going to get an email telling him he's been invited into that. Now, this doesn't look all that fantastic. It's it's pretty branding, but it's got the style. I can go in there and change my style to make it look and feel as I want to within there. And there's some options that we can choose from that we might want to use. And it says, try it out. So I can try it out and change that look and feel to get the branding. I can put my logo in there. I can create my folders. And then when I've done all of those things, and I've set the site up as I want it, I can save that as a template. Now those folders and the content and all of those things will flow through then, and it means it gives you that functionality where we can, and the permissions will flow through every time you create a new site. So just gonna let that finish off, because what I want to do is keep that. Okay, so I've created my site, put a bit of a look and feel in it. I could put my logo on there, all of those things I can share with other people. And I can even go through and have it that if I've got, say, Ben, for example, wanted to share with one of his wife or his girlfriend, sorry, Ben, or any of his team members, he can also set those permissions up to do that. So that's the basics of it. So go and have a look at that, go and start setting up your sites and so forth. And then we can, save that once we've got it looking and feeling by using site settings, clicking up on the top right hand corner, and in there we can go save this site as a template. So under site actions, it says save this site as a template. Now, if you don't have access to that, it just means we need to we need to just change one of the settings on there. So just contact support at HubOne and say that you need save site as a template actions or in your client site set if you don't have access to it. So get the support team to push that through for you. Bobby's just come back with how does the permission flow through for clients? Do you need to leave the visitors blank on the template? So the permissions will flow through when you're sharing it. You would say that it would start through. You say you either let them just edit or upload documents, but don't let them delete. So those permissions at that group's visitor site, that's where you would set those permissions up. Okay, so test site, you can see on the screen, we can say test visitors, they can read only. Members can edit and so forth. So it's just a matter of getting those permissions to suit how you want your clients to work with it. So you might have others there within there. So Bobby's just typing another one. So what I've done is I'm going to start and create a new site. I'm going to go back to my SharePoint site and I'm going to create my site using my template in this case. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my client sites and I'm going to go to my site contents and I'm going to say create a new subsite. And in this case, I'm going to call it Ben Shoemakers, and this is Ben's client portal. And this is where we might want to just put in B. Long names like ours, it's probably going to be careful with that. And then to choose the template, we just use the custom one. So I've got a few in here. In this case, I'm going to use the client portal one. Again, we click use unique permissions, and we've got to tick through the same processes that we did before, and we click create. And what you'll see is this is going to go then and create my template using my client site using the template. And it'll have all the folders in there that I've wanted before. It'll have my survey in there and all of those things. So I'm just going to click along. Okay, so it's saying, okay, use an existing group. I don't want to do that. I want to create a new group. Ben Shoemaker's visitors, use an existing process. Let's have a look at those for Bobby's benefit. Just want to, I want to use an existing group here. Team site owners for the owners. Turn it on team site members. So we can click on that. And now that's created my site using my template. So I've got my logo, I've got my survey, I've got my folders are all set up right from the beginning. So you don't have to go and recreate everything every time you do it. Nice and easy to work with, nice and easy to set up. So then we can go through that process of, saying, okay, well, within those permissions, we can look at the sharing permissions that we want to do within who's got access to it, so we can set those up. So pretty cool. And you can actually even go through each folder and say, okay, well, I don't want, if I wanted to have a bookkeeper or something that wanted to give them access to it, we could actually go and say, okay, we only want them to have access to the upload center, don't want them having access to anything else, any corporate documents and so forth. So you could just share just that folder to the bookkeeper, for example, so they can't see any of the other documents within there. When we've got newsfeed is it's a little similar to Yammer. I think eventually, as Roland said previously in the last session, that'll eventually come across. But if we have a look, I actually have been using this quite successfully with a few of my clients, and we're communicating back and forth using the news feed. We're uploading documents into where we need to go so that we're not processing it through, and then we're pushing back the documents for signing. Now, we have been, the next phase that we're going to be going through is working on workflows. One of the interesting things that we've been seeing and feedback we're getting from people is they only want to have one site per client group. So it seems to be very, very strong out there that people are saying, I don't want to have a site per actual client. So we've got to come up with the process of workflows so that we can get the documents in there. And so if what a lot of people initially thought was we could actually have a folder in the client site in the client document center. So going back into the normal client document center in here and having a folder, and we could drop the document into there, and then that would go to to a document for signing. We create the workflow that will then contact the client and say, you've got to send them an email, and you've got a document in your documents area or in your client portal that needs to be signed. They can jump in and sign it and so forth like that. But feedback we've had from our clients, I've been on a number of webinars, and I'm really hearing that the market's saying they want to have just one client site for their client groups. And so you might have a client group, might be company, trust, a bunch of family tax returns and stuff like that. So, that, I think this gives you the flexibility to do that. And Roland and I, we were just having a bit of a session last week on workflows, and you can actually create a workflow that is on a particular document. So that document then will be a part of the group, and then we can right click on it and we can set run that workflow on that particular document. In other words, that will then go to the documents for signing folder and stay within there. So that's the setting up the folders. That's the area, and that's where we're thinking of for those documents for signing. I did notice that it looks like DocuSign have some offers out there. So in terms of electronic signatures, we're talking to DocuSign. They initially came back and said it was $7 for an envelope to be able to send out documents for signature. So it all works. Within SharePoint, you can create your templates. Within your templates, all you need to do is put effectively S1 in the signing field and drop that into your DocuSign folder, and that will send it off to the client for signing. That all works extremely well. It's just that the cost seems a bit prohibitive. But if you're interested in looking at that further, let me know. I'm continuing to talk to them. I did hear one of the other providers has been able to distribute it at $1 per envelope, and I think if it was at that, a lot more people would sort of see that as a cost of postage and would be a lot more interested in that process rather than $7. So excellent. All right. I'm just going to go and have a look. I've seen a couple of questions. Okay, so each type blank you get permission to each time. That's good. Cool. No worries, Bobby. All right, now, one of the things that we wanted to have a look at was the permission, so the setting up your user. So it's very clear that a lot of accountants want to manage their users. So your options are, you can say, send them an email out, they go to log in, they'll be asked to log in with an Office 365 account. We'd love your clients using Office 365. That'd be a lot easier for them to do that. And if you're interested in maybe getting some of your clients, and working and doing some cross marketing with them, maybe to get them set up with Office 365, that might be an opportunity there. But there is a new feature in terms of a new user we can set up, and Nick is going to help me put some documentation together. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's basically going through the process of add a user, first name, and down the bottom within the details in there, so we can generate our password. We click on product licenses, and it says create user without product license, and we turn that on, and we turn off the enterprise E3. So if you're managing your users and so forth, that's where you go through and do that. And we're going to get some documentation and explanations on how to do that. So we've confirmed that works. So you could put in the first name, last name, and I could put in here, benclient@turniton.com as the username. That gives that functionality. They then get a email address that they can work with that, but they've got to still, the problem we've got to think about then is notifications. Where is that email going to go through to? So we need to sort of manage that. So they're the things that we're thinking about on that process. So if anybody's got any feedback on using this functionality, let me know, and we'll go and create the documentation for you on that. Awesome. So let's go back through. I'm just going to jump back. So where we're going through. So the last thing that I want to do is I'm going to send out to anybody who's interested. I'm just going to finish off that the tax return questionnaire, but I'm going to give you the base of it, and then you can go and edit and work on that. So I want to show you how to create that that template, or save the template into your system. So I'm just going to go back to present the PowerPoint file, just so everybody can see it. Cool. Next slide. So I hope you can see that okay. What I'll do is I'll send through these instructions. So saving a survey as a template, you've got to navigate to the list template gallery. So in there is a, if you put in your site name being, turniton@sharepoint.com or businessdna.sharepoint.com, that will navigate you to where it is. Or you can go there, and I'm just going to go through that process where you can navigate to the, you've got to go to the parent site, site contents, click on settings. Under the web designer galleries, there'll be list templates, see below, and then you click on the files, new, upload, navigate to there. So I've got those settings in there. So I'm going to just jump back out and go through that process for you so you can see that working. So let me just present my desktop again. So when we send you the file, it is a STP file, and that's going to have that questionnaire in it. And then if I navigate back to my SharePoint site, so that you can see the process, I'm going to go to my onePractice portal. So this is my the head site, the main site, and under the settings, I click on settings, site settings, and we can see here web designer galleries. It says list templates, and we can see our templates that are in there. So then we can go and add, and I'm going to show you where you get that. So when all you need to do then is upload the template in there, and of course now I can't remember how to. Sorry, I've got to do that. We click on files, and upload a document. So you just click, you save it somewhere. When we send it through to you, save that STP file somewhere in your on your PC, and you click on files within there, upload the document, and then you can upload that questionnaire into there. So when we get back to your SharePoint site, and you see within there, if I go and click back onto one of my client sites, I can go to any one of them. Oops, I'll just jump back into individual tax returns as an example. And I go into there and I go, okay, well now I've got my site contents, and I can add an app. And we'll see down the bottom, of course, there's my two in ITR test 1 and my ITR questionnaire. I can add that survey, which I've just sent through to you, and then you can add that into your sites. So what's really good with that is it means that you can have every year. What my concern was is every year we're going to load it up into our site contents, and then every year we're going to change our end of year tax questionnaire, or if we make any adjustments or improvements to it, we want to then go and add those into the site. So we want to bring that across. What I do want to do is I want to try and work out a workflow that we can, go and upgrade our new template across every one of them. So imagine we've got 3,000 sites set up and we create a new template. So what I'll do is I'll have a chat with our developers about creating a workflow that will go, we've got a new survey, and apply it to all sites. It can be done, but I'm not going to say how easy it is or not, because everything, it sounds simple, but it's obviously going to take a bit of code to put that in there. So at this stage, you can go to any of your sites and add in, clicking on site contents, clicking on the app, and then under the app, you can go and add your new template that you've just created and put into that site. So what you would do is you would go in and set up your template, set up your logo, set up the look and feel of it, create the folders, put your first of your end of year tax return questionnaires in there. When you're finished with that, you go and save that site as a template. So whenever you create a new site, it's going to put all those folders and details in there for the first one that you create. Awesome. So that's today's session. Apologies for Roland not being here today, but we all can't do everything all at one time, and I hope you've got a lot out of it. It was a really hands-on process. Again, if anybody, just drop me the email if you want that questionnaire, and if you do need a bit of a hand getting it into your client sites and setting up those client sites, happy to jump on the call with you at any time, especially our subscription customers, to give you a run through on how to set those up. and get those working for you. Same thing with setting up those users so that you can create those users and start using it with your clients. Thanks again. I'm just going to jump back to the presentation. If there's any questions, feel free to fire away now, and I'll try and answer them. But other than that, showing that, cool. Excellent. All right. So next week, we're going back to Power BI with Roland. So get on there and have a look, and we're going to continue that process of working within Power BI. So if you haven't done your homework, which we said from last week, getting in and creating your Power BI and connecting up to Xero and all those things, you've got an extra week to do that. And as I said, if anybody wants me to jump on a call with them and keep them going, firstly, if they want a copy of the survey to be sent through them, send me an email. And if they want a bit of a hand with setting up the client sites, let me know, and I'm more than happy to jump in and help that out. And the same with adding users. Don't forget, if you don't see the ability to create your templates, it's just contact support at HubOne, and they'll go and set the settings on your user permission so that you can do it and set that up. And you probably need to do a bit of planning as to who's going to be able to manage and create those client sites for you. Have an awesome week. Catch you all next week. And yeah, thanks again for coming along.